cottoned on to what the local name of this is, which is what?
No idea.
Part of quarry, the actual name of it is a quar. So it's quarry without the Y.
They've lost the E.
So you can see where they got the, yeah, they lost the E off the end. You can see where the name quarry came from. This is a quar, it's a local name for basically a pit where they won the rock from the soil. Okay. Does anyone know the more generic name for this type of mine? No? Just wondered if you did. It's known as an adit, A-D-I-T. An adit. There's two types of mines. You can get into a mine using an adit or a shaft. Okay, now we tend to think of coal mines and going down underground to get coal out the ground, going down in a shaft, going down in a cage, and you get lowered down through the ground, a bit like those Chilean miners. They got rescued in a single man cage going up and down a borehole. This one, when you talk about an adit, it's something you can walk in. So you walk down an incline. And here we've got an adit, okay? So we're walking down an incline to get underneath the rock that's above it and get the big lumps of rock out. To get the big lumps of rock out, you just use a feather and a wedge. The feather is a type of wedge, but a wedge, you can imagine, you just get a wedge and you find a joint and you hammer it in, and you just gently keep doing this until the whole block falls out. Loaded onto a trolley, and then a horse or a donkey of some sort would use this winch at the top, and it will pull up the block on a sled up to the top. It would then be manhandled onto the back of a horse and cart, and the horse and cart would trundle it down into Swanage. And in Swanage it would then reach a weighbridge. We'll tell you a bit more about that later on, where it will be assessed, the quality of it assessed, you receive a payment, and off it will go onto a barge and be shipped off round towards the Thames or wherever it was going to be delivered. So you can start to see why this part of the country was quite good for the exploitation of limestone. Limestone occurs in lots of different parts of the country, but what we've got here is we've got rock that you can easily get into and get out, and rock that you can then load easily and transport it anywhere in the country because it's right by the coast. And that was the big advantage of this limestone deposit here than other parts of the country. Well, we've also stopped here because every time we come here we can always find different bits of rock. This is a nice piece just to show you. Starting to weather on that side. Okay, so fairly light coloured on that side, and on that side heavily weathered. So you can see the difference. That one, okay, been nicely shaped. See any difference between that and that?
Smooth, non-smooth.
One's smaller, yeah. But any difference in the colour? Yeah. A little bit. Fastly, slightly darker. Okay. Nicely shaped that side, completely flat. It's concrete, yes, it's concrete. When you see it that side, it's concrete. Look at the colour. There's not much that, you know, there is a difference, but generally
it's not that much.
It's not that much. So only till you see down the edge do you realise it's concrete. Okay, so just to prove that basically what we're doing is digging out Portland rock, grinding it down, putting it in a furnace, burning it to make cement so that we can then mould it to form concrete. So it works. It does actually do what we want it to do. Of course, the type of aggregate you use will influence the colour as well. This is a light aggregate. It's quartz, and it's quite angular in shape, but it's getting that. You can get the smooth surfaces, and you can put it in, make it into curves, and so on. So that's why that's done. I don't think we need to talk anything else up here, do we, really? Oh, Carboniferous times. What I meant to say about Carboniferous times, we talked about Carboniferous limestone, we talked about going down in a shaft to win coal. That was 350 million years ago, and then mainly you've got the Carboniferous limestone. It's also associated with all the big coal deposits. and that's where coal comes from. It comes from that sort of age. This is completely younger at 120 million years old.
Just going back to the coal quickly, Dr. Watson's mentioned you can sink a shaft for mining, or you can go in it as an adit. Don't also forget that you can also do open cast, so you can actually take off the overburden to get to the material below. So it's kind of like a third, more modern technique they now use. As we've improved the removal techniques with the machinery nowadays, it's now economic to sometimes just completely take off the overburden and have an open pit and access the material there. And they do sometimes do that with limestones and all that. So
it's more common now, isn't it? To literally take.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're saying is, if you imagine this one here, they'd have taken the rock off the top.
Yeah.
There's not much rock to get rid of. It's safer. There's not going to be any rock falls. You can actually get more material out. So take the stuff off the top. That's the overburden. Okay, and get this stuff underneath. Oh, while we're at it, you need to know about your report that you need to write. I've given you quite a lot of detail on the coursework sheet, but you need to hand in your notes from today. There's no harm, as this gentleman's doing, in recording what's going on and then writing the notes up later on. An engineer, good site engineer, will go on site, assess what's going on, won't be able to write everything down. Okay, certain things are going on, you're in the middle of a meeting, it seems to be rude to be constantly writing and making notes. So yeah, dictaphones will be going, cameras will be going, taking evidence of what you can, when you can, and invariably the engineer will get back in the car and we'll go to the local services and have a coffee and write loads up, or go back to the office and do the same. So going back and annotating and filling in your notes is acceptable. Okay, going back and typing them up and adding in all the photographs is writing a report. But going up and actually writing things out and saying we were here then, we were there then, a bit more to add in there, and then you've got a good set of notes is quite acceptable. So don't feel worried about just handing the notes in you've got now. You can actually go back and beef them up a bit. Also, your report needs to be on a topic. You can do the geology of the area. I'm just giving you suggestions. You do it on what you want. It's got to do something to do with Swanage. You can do it on the geology of the area. Okay. You can do it on the economics of the area. We're already seeing limestone being dug out for use as a building stone. We're going to see some other aspects of the economic use of the rocks. They're just two ways of looking at it. You could do the development of Swanage, because that's all going to be to do with the rocks. Whatever you do has got to have something to do with the geology of the area. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, but how you do it, how you run it is your choice. There are some very good articles online on the internet that you can use. I've read them. So don't think you can go, oh, I found it. Copy, paste, that'll do, hand it in. I've read them, all right? So you've got to write it in your own words. By all means, copy sections out, reference them. If you don't reference them right, Mr. Woods has been very harsh in professional skills on getting the referencing right. You've got to get the referencing right for geology as well. Okay, that's the sort of level now we expect you to work out. Any questions on the coursework before we move on? It might still be a little bit unclear, but as the morning progresses, you'll start to see what we're going on about. Right, we've got a bit of a walk now. We're going to go down around the lighthouse, down to basically down there. It's follow the road.